Hey, my name is Gary Mendel, and I'm the senior pastor at Harbor Light, and I've been serving in that role for 16 years, and we are so excited about where we're going in this small group campaign.
Welcome to week 4 of the Harbor Light small group experience. My name is Mark Fila, and I am so thrilled to join you today as we talk about reaching out. So last week we talked about caring for and supporting each other. This week, now we're going to talk about how do you take that care and support for each other and share it with the rest of the world. So today we're talking about reaching out to those that are around you, your neighbors, your coworkers. Studies show that literally the moment that someone becomes a Christ follower, their friend zone, the amount of friends or the amount of people that they relate to shrinks dramatically. We interact with people that are in the church, and that makes sense on a few levels. It really does, because we as humans, we like being with like-minded people. We feel closer to like-minded people. We enjoy our time more with like-minded people. But it is a sad fact that when someone commits to becoming a Christ follower, their influence in the world tends to shrink because they don't relate to other people that may not know Christ as well. As we talked about grace last week, we must remember that we are who we are. We are loved. We are lovable, not because of anything that we've done, but 100% because of what Jesus did for us. He chose to love us just as we are. And we get to go and share that with others, not because we were amazing. It's because of Him that I'm lovable. It's because of Him that I am loved. It's because of Him that I am who I am today. So I want to share this with you. A lot of times this is called evangelism. And evangelism, I think, oftentimes gets a bad rap. We think of fanatics that are on the street saying, hey, you're going to go to hell if you don't know Jesus, and you better know Jesus, and you better convert. That's just not how I think of evangelism. I really think evangelism is sharing your story. It's sharing who you were, who you are now, and that transition of coming to know Jesus and what that means in your life. It's just sharing lives together. Evangelism is relational. It's your job just to share your story, not to convert anyone or convince anyone or anything, but just to share your experience. Now in your group, I understand there is a tension, because there is a tension between fellowship and evangelism. Those two things oftentimes battle each other. And so what I mean by this is fellowship, you love fellowship, and the more time you spend with someone in a smaller group of people, the more you'll get to know each other and the more you'll feel supported by those people. The better you can care for each other and the better you can support each other. Fellowship is incredibly important. Your small group is incredibly important. But to evangelize, oftentimes that means we need to open the door for more people to come in. You may need to create some space in your group for other people, for people who don't know Jesus, for people who maybe aren't as likable, or maybe you don't trust as much yet. There's a tension between fellowship and evangelism. I'm curious how you will address this with your group, because every group's going to be a little bit different. Other different groups are going to have different passions, but I hope that you can find a passion for fellowship, but also a passion for evangelism or reaching out. I do want you to know that next year we're going to be launching more groups, and our strategy isn't making yours grow so big that you have to cut it in half and multiply and split relationships, and that's not going to happen. what's going to happen is there will be probably some of you that will feel called to hosting a group again next year, or hosting a new group. Maybe you're a member this year, but then you want to be a host next year, and you get to start a new group. There will be many more new groups happening, and the more new groups we have, the more we can reach out to others to invite them into those groups. So it's not going to be cutting your groups in half or cutting off relationship. We find this important for you to know so that you can value fellowship and reaching out at the same time. I want to read a passage to you from Matthew chapter 5. It's in verses 14 through 15. So go ahead and turn there if you have your Bibles with you. It says this: "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father." When we hide the light that we've been given, it really does take a lot of purpose away from our lives, because so much of our lives is about that light that we have received. So we gain so much joy in sharing that light. Sharing our stories, sharing this light can be uncomfortable. But when we remember this verse, we can take the focus off of our own discomforts, and we can really think about obeying God. And truthfully, I think we were created to obey God. To obey God is the greatest expression of love that we can show Him. And we can obey Him by just sharing our stories and sharing the light that He has given us. I want to give you all 3 steps to start sharing that light that you have in your life. One, the first step is a crawling step, okay? And it's something that you're going to get to do today in your group right after this video finishes. But it's sharing your story with each other, with the small group that you are a part of right now. And by sharing your story, I mean sharing what your life was like before you knew Christ, what it was like getting to know Christ, and what your life has been like after knowing Christ. Or if maybe you don't have all those steps, where are you at in that story right now? That's sharing your story. Second is going to be the step of walking. It's a little bit more than crawling, and sharing the light with other people who don't know Christ. And it's having some of those people that you know that are not Christ followers, having them over to your house. Maybe it's for dinner, maybe it's for some games, something like that, where you just get to know each other a little bit. Go ahead and do that. And don't have any conversations about God. You're doing this to create more relationships with other people. Remember what we said earlier. When you become a Christ follower, statistics show that your sphere of influence dramatically shrinks because you relate mostly now with just Christians. And you don't want to do that because then it's hard to share the light. So have people over, have some fun, ask them some questions about their life, get to know them, learn what makes them tick, learn what makes them the most excited, and just care about them. The third step is the running step. So you went from crawling to walking, and now it's running. You're actually going to share your story with those people that you had over. So you probably have them over another time, or you'll schedule another event for you all to get together. And you'll actually, ask them some of their story, learn about their life, and then, when the time is right, share a little bit about your life and your story and how your life has changed once you began your relationship with Jesus. All you're doing is sharing your story. You're not pressing anything on anybody. You're just sharing. You're sharing the light that God has given you, and you will find incredible joy in doing so. Before my wife Alexis and I moved back to Michigan, we lived in a condo unit in the city, and it was actually really fun because we had a lot of neighbors. And one time we actually were able to do a small group campaign just like the one you're doing right now. And we decided to start one in our condo complex. And so we actually started inviting our neighbors over. We put signs on everybody's door. We had some other couples that joined us in our condo once a week for a short period. And it was so fun because we watched some videos and we talked about God, but we didn't necessarily say, this is what you need to do, and we cut out the Christianese talk, and we just asked them their stories. Hey, what do you think about God? What's God been like in your life? Does God exist to you? What do you believe about God? What we found was, even if people weren't Christians, they actually really wanted to talk about God. And they felt so loved by being able to share their stories with us. I mean, we weren't judging, we just listened. And it was so fun. And I tell you what, we had neighbors for life, and we're still very connected with a lot of those neighbors. And it was just such a joy being able to share the light with them. I don't know if they became Christians or not yet, but I still pray for them. We had such a good experience just having them over and sharing our story with them. Now I have an assignment for your group this week. Okay, and I think it's a really fun assignment, and I hope you have fun with this assignment. I want you as a group to come up with how you can reach out to people who don't know Jesus. And maybe it's a service project, maybe it's helping some people that are in need, or maybe it's just going and talking to people, or all going out to eat and paying for some meals, or maybe it's just all of you having another group meeting, but everybody inviting a friend and just getting to know some more people. I don't know what your group wants to do, but that's up to you and your host to decide. Now, the really cool thing is once you decide on this one thing that you're all going to do together to reach out and to share that light, actually in 2 weeks, on week 6 of this campaign, the last week of the campaign, you're going to get to go out and actually do that together. So next week is the last DVD that you're going to get to watch together, because the following week you're going to gather wherever you decided to gather, and you're actually going to reach out together as a group. Now I know that could sound scary. Believe me when I say that you find a lot of purpose and joy in sharing the light that God has given you. The relationship with Jesus that you have that has changed your life can change so many other lives, and it is a joy to share. Thank you so much for joining us here for week 4, Reaching Out. And I can't wait to have you all back for next week, week 5, which is Bible study. You know, if there's one thing I could leave you with this week, is just to remember, life is always better together. Don't do it alone.